Welcome to Bad Gear, the show about the world's most hated audio tools. Roland, the alpha and the omega of gear, home of the iconic and the ridiculous, oscillating between the good, the bad and the ugly and unstoppable force that will keep this channel alive for eons to come. Today we are going to talk about the GAIA SH-01. This feature-laden 2010 synthesizer keyboard and bedroom studio centerpiece is one of the instruments that looks like its sole purpose was to end up on this show. However, there's an even more obscure and evil parallel dimension of WTF-ness lurking beneath the surface.
At the first glance, the SH-01 is ticking boxes like a home inspector gone Jackson Pollock. Black and white design that is quite a counterpoint to the Green Lantern-colored IRA range, one knob per function, well almost, and keyboardists will appreciate the full-sized keys. Despite reports to the contrary, these keys are velocity sensitive. The instrument is based on 3 full-fledged synth engines that allow for various modern takes on iconic Roland tones like dry as a bone basses, dreamy E-pianos, brash sync leads, dynamic poly patches, and cinematic pads. Each of these engines comes with one oscillator capable of producing basic waveforms, PWM, noise, and the controversial supersaw we will talk about in a minute. Interaction between the synth engines is limited to sync and ring modulation. I was surprised by the filter. It's super versatile and doesn't lead to the infamous ice pick to the head 90s digital filter resonance brain freeze. The single LFO can be routed to pitch, filter and volume, and fade time comes in handy. Speaking of modulation, there are dedicated envelopes for amp, cutoff and pitch. And I like the sliders a lot. You can select 1, 2 or all 3 synth engines for tweaking and copy-paste settings. Unfortunately, the engines can't be triggered independently via MIDI and there's no split functionality. I would have preferred more complex routing options for the FX section, which can only be applied to the mix of all synth engines. 80s Bender mod thingy. Check. 90s D-beam. Check. Mono, portamento and an arpeggiator with 64 patterns and a hold button. Check. The phrase recorder lets you save 8 patterns of up to 8 bars. Roland implemented an external input with center cancel, which is cool if you want bad gear without my over-the-top Euro accent. The mini jack input didn't age all too well though, and leave a comment if you ever used the link. All this seems nice and friendly, but there's a dark side to the SH-01 as well. Although the instrument is sold as a virtual analog synth, there is a set of sample-based voices. 8 of them can be selected from the front panel and range from bread and butter sounds to strange vocal samples. Additionally, there's an entire general MIDI set that can only be accessed via MIDI. Still, it is not fully GM compatible, as one MIDI channel is always reserved for the main synthesizer. Going further down that rabbit hole, there is some solid evidence for the GAIA not being VA, but an entirely sample-based instrument. I tried to replicate this and was able to find perfect loops in the supersaw waveforms that cancel each other out. That's beyond suspicious. The synth can act as an audio interface, there's a battery compartment, USB for backups on thumb drives, and I didn't expect a MIDI through. Thanks to Klangfarbe for lending me their SH-01 floor model, which was already a bit dusty. I'm pretty sure they will make you an offer you can't refuse. Fun fact, for the price of a new Gaia you can get last week's Moog DFAM and instant ramen noodles for a month.
The Roland SH-01 is an easy-to-understand synthesizer and a Roland through and through. Did the marketing department go a little too far this time?
You have already heard the synth and its general MIDI drums in today's intro tune. I'm not convinced yet. Let's showcase its versatility in the first jam.
This worked better than expected. Although I wasn't all too happy with the sound on their own, they worked well in the arrangement. Integrating it into a setup isn't easy with a GM sound clogging up the MIDI channels. Time to dive a little deeper into the sample-based sounds of the keyboard. It's no secret that Roland is capable of cobbling together a general MIDI set. Still, I was surprised how expressive some of its tones are when tweaked using MIDI. I'm not a big fan of the drums though. The SH-01 is certainly no Jupiter 8. I wanna know if the modern and slightly digital sound can be used to our advantage in this symphonic digifunk aliasing step super saw zilla. Verdict. If I was in the market for a digital synth, the SH-01 would not be my first choice. There are more affordable options that offer a more characterful sound, and even though the Gaia is still available new, it seems dated and unfinished. What is more, even if you don't mind the controversy surrounding its oscillators, Roland's marketing strategy doesn't exactly inspire confidence, and I understand people who sense a scam here. At the same time, the Gaia is a great educational tool. All the elements of a basic subtractive synthesizer are clearly laid out, and you can learn a lot about layering sounds. It's ironic that a machine that is so easy to use makes it so hard to create anything that I would actually want to hear on a record. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Feel free to like, subscribe, become a patron and leave a comment what other kind of gear you would like to see and hear on the show.